Morning, Kate here, bringing you this week's Monday mission. This is one of the poll options that I had done a couple weeks ago for a topic. So we are going to talk about some permission slips from a life coach, right? So some permissions that I will grant you that you can start using in your life that will help you manage your mind. Now, some of these are going to be things I've repeated, right, or things I've already taught you. So they may be something that's repeated, but it's always good to hear it again, right? And some might surprise you. So I'm going to do 6 permissions. So I'll go through each one and explain it a little bit to you, and then we'll have a journal prompt at the end. Okay, so first one, this one might shock you, is I'm giving you permission to complain. Wait, what? A life coach is saying that it's okay to complain. I thought that was something negative and we should avoid it and we should always think positively, right? No, that is not life. It's not realistic. We can get into a lot of toxic positivity if we think that way, right? If we try to just shove down the things that annoy us or that trigger us or we have emotional reactions to, if we try to just hide those and shove them away, then we're in that toxic positivity space, right? We're not allowing those feelings to come through. So the caveat here is that we are allowed to complain, but we aren't allowed to live there, okay? Allow complaints to come up. Notice when you are complaining. It's really important information. It's important data, right? Complaining tells us what's triggering us, what is irritating us, what is causing feelings, right? Which means that complaining gives us our thoughts that we need to work on, right? Because thoughts create feelings, right? And complaining is really just letting out all of your thoughts, okay? So if you're complaining about something at work, if you're complaining about your kids, your partner, your family, traffic, whatever it is, allow it to come up, but don't live there. Recognize it, see what it's bringing up for you, recognize the thoughts, which are just sentences in your brain, and then use that as data, use it as information. Maybe this is indicative that I need to set a boundary. Maybe this means I need to focus on giving myself some rest and some self-care, right? Whatever it might be, complaining is actually really important information. Just don't stay there. Okay, so that's permission slip number 1, is you have permission to complain. Second permission slip is to not believe your brain. Okay, your thoughts are not facts, okay? We all think they are, right? Even though we intellectually understand that not all of our thoughts are true, we actually deep down believe that they are, right? So I'm giving you permission to not always believe your brain. Okay, so I want to, I use this analogy a lot with my clients, and I think it might be helpful here. I want you to think about your thoughts in your brain as buses in a bus station, right? So your brain is the bus station, and your thoughts are buses, okay? Thoughts are going to come in to the bus station because that's just how bus stations work, right? Bus stations have buses come in and out of them all the time. Same with the brain. You're going to have thoughts that come in and out, okay? But let's say that one time you took a bus 35. And bus 35 took you to some sketchy part of town. It's always late. It was super smelly, right? You didn't feel that safe there. And it ended up dropping you off in the wrong spot, okay? The next time you go to the bus station, bus 35 is going to be there because that's just what buses do. Buses go in and out of the bus station. But you're going to see bus 35 and be like, there's no way I'm taking bus 35 again. And you're going to let it go past you. And you're going to take a different bus. And that bus might be really nice and lovely and quiet and not have weird smells and take you to the right place and have you be on time. And then you think, oh, let's say that's bus 20. I love bus 20. I'm gonna get on bus 20 every time it comes in, okay? Your brain is the same way. Bus 35, the sketchy one, the thoughts that don't serve you, are always gonna come there because that's just what they do. You can choose not to take bus 35 and choose bus 20 instead, right? Or you can just choose to sit in the bus station and not just redirect yourself from the thought altogether. So this is your permission to not believe your brain. Just because your brain has a thought does not mean that it's true. It does not mean that it's a fact. It doesn't mean that you have to believe it or even give any attention to it, pay any attention to it, right? It's just going to come and go. Okay, so that is permission slip number 2, is to not always believe your brain and to choose the better bus, the bus that feels better. Okay, the third permission slip. This one is really difficult to put into practice, okay? And again, I think we might intellectually understand it, but to put it into our daily lives is difficult. So the third one is permission to detach from other people's models, okay? So what I mean is if we think of like our thoughts and feelings as a model or a process, right? So remember, we have our circumstance or situation. We have thoughts about that circumstance. Our thoughts create our feelings drive our behavior, and then our behavior creates some kind of result, right? So this is our model. Other people have the same model, okay? But what we often do is we think that our behavior, okay, we think that our behavior causes someone else's feelings. But really what causes their feelings is their thoughts, right? So we say, we think if we do something or say something and someone's offended or someone gets upset with us, that we caused those feelings. It's not true. They caused their own feelings by their thoughts. Now, I'm not saying this gives us permission to just go out and hurt and do and say whatever we want to people, right? But recognizing that our behavior cannot create someone's feelings. Their thoughts about our behavior create their feelings. Okay? So again, I think this is something that we intellectually understand, but to put into practice can feel really difficult. So this is just one that we're going to have to keep practicing. But that is your permission, is to detach from other people's models and recognize that your behavior does not create someone else's feelings, and vice versa. Other people's behavior, the person that cut you off in traffic, your partner that didn't didn't switch the laundry over, right? Your kid that didn't listen, your coworker that didn't get the assignment done or the project done on time, right? Their behavior does not cause your feelings. Your thoughts about their behavior causes your feelings. Okay, this is a big one, and we may have to practice it. That's okay. But you have permission to start detaching from other people's models. Okay, the next permission is to show yourself compassion and believe that you're worthy. Again, we all probably, if I asked you, should you show yourself compassion? Do you think that you're worthy? Do you think it's important to believe that you're worthy? You might say yes, but do you truly understand that and practice that, right? I am giving you permission to show yourself compassion and believe that you are inherently worthy simply because you're a human being, right? You don't have to earn that worth through anything else. You are lovable and worthy simply because you exist. I'm giving you this permission to just accept that, okay? But I want you to, if you can't get there, right? I want you to use the best friend test, okay? So I want you to think about how you speak to yourself, right? Let's say that you make a mistake at work, okay? Or let's say that someone in your family gets mad at you for something, okay? Think about the sentences that you tell yourself, your thoughts, and then use the best friend test. Would you say those things to your best friend if they were in the same situation? If your best friend made a mistake at work and they're beating themselves up and shaming themselves and, just all in their mind about how this is their fault and they're an idiot and they always mess up and whatever, would you tell your best friend that same thing, right? If she was saying that to herself because she made a mistake, what would you tell her, right? So that's the best friend test, is to imagine what you would say to your best friend and then say it to yourself. Okay, that's one way you can start showing yourself compassion and believing in your inherent worthiness. Okay. The next permission slip is to only compare yourself to your previous self. Okay, so I did a whole video on comparison, why we do it. It's essentially our brain trying to survive, right? So we can understand why we do it. And again, intellectually, we understand that comparison is not healthy, but we all still do it, right? So let's move that comparison, comparing ourselves to others, and move it to comparing ourselves to our previous selves, right? So if you now handle situations and your emotional reactivity better than you did a year ago, amazing, right? If you eat a little healthier than you did 5 years ago, amazing, right? If you didn't used to move your body or work out at all and now you're doing it a couple times a week, that's incredible. compare yourself to your previous self, right? That shows you growth. It shows how you've evolved. But if you continue to compare yourself, you're always going to find someone better, right? Who's doing it more. And you're always going to left feeling defeated, right? And being defeated. So permission slip is this one is to only compare yourself to you. Okay. And then the last permission slip, again, is a difficult one, I think, to truly believe and hold on to. I still struggle with this, and I have to remind myself of this one. I'm giving you permission to accept as truth that people, adults, can do and say whatever they want to do, and it has nothing to do with you. It does not have to mean anything about you. People, I'm going to say it again, people can do and say whatever they want to do, and it doesn't have to mean anything about you and everything about them, right? So this goes back to detaching from other people's models a little bit, but I think this is a really important concept. If you can start to adopt this belief and take this permission and start applying it to your life, you're going to have a lot less suffering. Okay, right? We often create our own suffering with our thoughts. So if we can just accept as true that people can do and say whatever they want, and it has nothing to do with us, we don't have to make it mean anything about us. That is a great start. If you can accept that, you're going to find a lot more relief in your life, less stress, less beating yourself up, right? It's really an important concept to start adopting. So here is your permission to accept that and start believing that throughout your life. All right, so those are your permission slips. You have permission to complain. You have permission to not believe your brain, right? Don't get on bus 35, get on bus 20. You have permission to detach from other people's models. You have permission to show yourself compassion and believe your worthiness and use the best friend test to do this. And you have permission to only compare yourself to the previous you, right? And the last one is that you have permission to just accept and believe that people can do and say whatever they want to do. We cannot make them do or say what we want them to say and do. And whatever they choose to do means nothing about us, all right? So those are your permission slips from a life coach for this week. Your journal prompt is just to pick one of the permissions and write it out. I give myself permission to complain. I give myself permission to stop comparing myself to others and only compare to myself. I give myself permission to detach from other people's models, right? Whatever permission seems the most important for you to have for yourself right now, use that as your journal prompt, okay? And so that is your mission, should you choose to accept it, is to take the permission slips. Don't question them, just take them and do them. All right, I hope you're having a great day. Make sure you share with me, as always, anything that comes up, and we'll talk soon. Bye.